You pulled a tick off your ankle before you even made it to the garden. It was already climbing. You never felt it land. The CDC reports Lyme disease cases have tripled in the last 15 years. There is a newer one most people still haven't heard of: alpha-gal syndrome. One bite from a lone star tick makes you violently allergic to red meat and dairy for the rest of your life. There are now over 450,000 suspected cases in the United States alone. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem is not your lawn. It is your perimeter. This video gives you 3 layers of protection, 1 permanent fix, and 1 trick that costs 3 cents and works every single time. No expensive pest control contracts. No chemicals that send your dog to the vet. Just 4 things that actually work. You see 1 tick on your dog, and you think you caught it early. You didn't. A single female deer tick lays between 2,000 and 6,000 eggs in her lifetime. 1 tick is not 1 tick. It is a colony in waiting. And here's the part that changes how you think about your yard. Ticks do not live in your grass. They live in the leaf litter along your fence line, in the wood pile against your shed, in the shaded transition zone where your mowed lawn meets the tree line or the neighbor's overgrown edge. That strip, 3 feet wide in some cases, is where almost every tick on your property is sitting right now. Mowing does almost nothing. The homeowner who cuts twice a week and still pulls ticks off their kids every summer is making the same mistake every time. They are treating the lawn instead of the perimeter. The ticks were never in the lawn. Here is why it has gotten worse. Tick populations across North America are at the highest recorded levels in history. Milder winters, expanding deer populations, and suburban development pushing into woodland edges have created ideal conditions for every species. Deer ticks, lone star ticks, dog ticks, brown dog ticks. They are all expanding their range, and they are doing it fast. Understanding how they move helps you stop them. Ticks do not jump. They do not fly. They do not drop from trees. They quest. They climb to the tip of a grass blade or a low leaf, extend their front legs, and wait. Anything that brushes past, a dog, a child, your pant leg, becomes a host. Once on you, they climb upward looking for warm, thin skin. Ankle to calf, to knee to thigh. Almost every bite happens above the ankle and below the waist, because that is the climbing corridor they follow every single time. You cannot stop them by mowing shorter. You stop them by cutting off the root before they ever reach the grass. That is what the next 3 sections are going to show you exactly how to do. Western red cedar has been keeping moths out of closets and chests for centuries. That is not coincidence. That is chemistry. And the same chemistry that kills moths kills ticks faster and more completely than most people realize. Western red cedar contains 2 compounds, thujone and plicatic acid. When a tick crawls across cedar oil or cedarwood chips, those compounds go to work immediately. They penetrate the spiracles, the tiny breathing holes running along the sides of a tick's body, and disrupt the respiratory system from the inside. The tick does not just avoid the area, it cannot survive contact with it. Dehydration sets in within hours. It dies. This works on every species: deer ticks, dog ticks, lone star ticks, brown dog ticks. The mechanism does not discriminate because every tick species breathes through the same spiracle system. Cedar does not care what species it is dealing with. Every species is affected. The pest control industry has known this for decades. The most expensive professional tick treatments on the market are cedar oil-based. The companies charging $300 a visit to spray your yard are using a concentrate built around the same active compound you can buy at a hardware store for $12. They know it works. They have always known it works. This is not a folk remedy passed down through gardening blogs. The chemistry is documented. The mechanism is understood. University extension programs, agricultural experiment stations, and pest management researchers have all confirmed the same result. Cedar oil disrupts tick respiration through the spiracles and kills them. That sentence has been in the scientific literature for years. It just never made it onto a shelf at eye level in your local hardware store. Here is what that means for your yard. You do not need synthetic pyrethroids. You do not need bifenthrin. You do not need anything that requires a hazmat warning or a 48-hour wait before letting your kids back onto the grass. You need cedar wood. Here is exactly how to use it. If you want the fastest option with no mixing required, look for Wonderside or any cedar oil concentrate at your hardware store, Tractor Supply, or online. You spray it along your yard perimeter, fence lines, and around the base of your deck. A 32-ounce bottle runs about $29 and covers roughly 5,000 square feet. Reapply every 2 to 4 weeks during tick season or after heavy rain. That is the convenience tier. Point and spray. When you are reading labels, ignore everything except one thing. Cedarwood oil. That is the active ingredient. Everything else in the bottle is carrier fluid and filler. Any cedar oil-based yard spray does the same job. The brand does not matter. The compound does. Now here is where it gets better. You can make the exact same thing at home in 3 minutes for a fraction of the price. The recipe is 1 teaspoon of cedarwood essential oil, 1 cup of distilled water, and 1 tablespoon of witch hazel or unflavored vodka. The alcohol is not optional. It acts as an emulsifier, keeping the oil suspended in the water so it does not separate in the bottle. Shake before each use. Pour into any spray bottle. Done. A 4-ounce bottle of pure cedarwood essential oil costs about $12 and makes over 16 batches of spray. Each batch costs roughly $3 to $4. That is approximately 70% cheaper than the store-bought version for the identical active compound. Where to spray? Your yard perimeter, your shoes and pant legs before any outdoor work, your dog's collar. Never directly on cats. Cats metabolize essential oils differently, and cedar oil can be toxic to them. Keep the spray away from cats entirely. Store your mixed bottle in a cool, dark cupboard. Direct sunlight breaks down the cedar oil and weakens it within days. Reapply every 2 weeks during peak season and after any heavy rain washes it off. The spray works, but it requires you to keep up with it. The next option is the one you set up once and then forget about for years. Western red cedar chips, not the dyed decorative mulch from the big box store. Actual Western red cedar chips sold by weight at any landscape supply yard. They run about $40 to $60 per cubic yard. You lay a 3-foot wide band of chips along your entire perimeter, 3 inches deep, wherever your lawn meets the woods, the fence line, or the garden edge. That is the whole system. Ticks migrating from the woods or the neighbor's yard have to cross that band to reach you. They cannot. The thujone and plicatic acid in the chips kill them before they make it across. Not repel, kill. The tick that starts crossing your cedar barrier does not turn around and leave. It dies in the attempt. The Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station ran a controlled study on cedar mulch barriers and recorded an 88% reduction in tick populations within the protected zone. One application. 88%. That number held across the entire monitoring period. You replenish a thin layer every 2 to 3 years as the chips break down. That is your only maintenance window. For a 1/4-acre property, you are looking at roughly $150 in cedar chips for a barrier that costs nothing to maintain between applications. And here is how to get it for free. Call your local tree service. Arborists generate truckloads of cedar chips on every job and pay to dump them at landfills. Most crews will deliver a full truckload directly to your driveway, at no charge if you catch them on a job day nearby. People have built complete perimeter barriers for the cost of a 6-pack handed to the crew. One afternoon, one barrier. Years of protection. The spray handles what gets through during peak season. The chips handle the perimeter year-round without you touching it again. The last layer costs 3 cents and takes 10 seconds. You have probably got a roll of it in your garage right now. Gray, wide, classic duct tape. And it is one of the most effective tick barrier you can use on your own body before you step outside. Ticks do not fall from trees. They climb. They sit on the tip of a grass blade or a low leaf with their front legs extended, waiting for anything that brushes past. Once they grab on, they move upward, ankle to calf to knee to thigh. Almost every tick bite happens above the ankle and below the waist, because that is the climbing corridor they follow every single time. Before you walk into tall grass, leaf litter, or anywhere near a wood line, take a strip of duct tape and wrap it around the top of each sock, sticky side out. 1 or 2 bands. That is it. Ticks that grab onto your shoe and start climbing hit the sticky band first. They get stuck. They never reach skin. When you come back inside, peel the tape off, fold its sticky side onto itself, and throw it away. Ticks and all. 3 cents per ankle. Works every time. There is no chemistry to dodge, no resistance to build up, no reapplication schedule. They are physically trapped. Pair this with the cedar oil spray on your shoes and pant legs, and ticks have to clear 2 barriers before they can reach you. They don't. Here is the full protocol. Spray your perimeter with Wondercide or the homemade cedar oil recipe every 2 weeks during tick season. Lay a 3-foot band of western red cedar chips along every edge where your lawn meets the wild. Call your local tree service and get that load delivered free. And every time you step into the yard during tick season, wrap a strip of duct tape around each ankle, sticky side out. 4 layers. Almost no cost. Ticks lose every round. Drop your state in the comments and tell me what tick species you are dealing with. See you in the next one.